Hello. Close to the end of theme D now. We're going to look at terrorism and weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons, that kind of thing today, and Christian attitudes on and Islamic attitudes on those subjects. Let's get into it. Define terrorism. What do we mean by this word terrorism? Okay, it's not just to do with violence. I'll give you that. It's not just to do with violence. Think about fear, so on and so forth. Okay, it's not just to do with violence. Okay. Moving on, Christian attitudes towards terrorism. Christian attitudes towards terrorism. I'll give you a clue. They're against it. Why? Christian attitudes towards terrorism. Okay. Moving on. Islamic attitudes towards terrorism. What does the Muslim faith or Islamic faith talk about, teach its followers about terrorism? Okay. Two causes of terrorism. What makes people want to commit these acts? Two causes of terrorism. Why do they do it? Why do they commit these crimes? Okay. 2 more moments. Just have one word for each. It's fine. Okay, moving on then. What are WMDs? What are WMDs? What does it stand for? What are they? What do they cause? The impact they have, so on and so forth. Okay. Moving on. Give me some advantages. 2 advantages of WMDs. 2 advantages of WMDs. Two advantages of WMDs. Okay. 2 disadvantages of weapons of mass destruction. 2 disadvantages of weapons of mass destruction. Okay. Last 2 now. Christian attitudes towards WMDs. Christian attitudes towards WMDs. Towards weapons of mass destruction. Okay. And in just a moment, taking your time, pausing this if you need to. Keep going. And I feel like, do you think I should put some music in? Because it's just quiet, isn't it, when I'm not speaking? But silence is good. And our silence refreshes you more than you realise. Islamic attitudes towards weapons of mass destruction. Islamic attitudes towards weapons of mass destruction. Okay. Right, let's go through these answers. So, question number 1 in just a moment. The answer, defining terrorism. You might not have this exactly, but that's not the tissue. The tissue is that you are there and thereabouts. So, terrorism is an act of violence which is intended to create fear. Okay? The intention of terrorism is to create fear. You can have a fight and that's violent. The fight's not necessarily there to create fear. It's there to, for a whole manner of different reasons you might have a fight. But terrorism is wanting to create fear. Okay, a terrorist is anyone who carries out such an act of violence to create fear. And terrorist acts are often directed at civilians, members of the public. Okay, they are unlawful and illegal. Okay, and you can bring in, some really sad events such as 9/11, Manchester bombing, so on and so forth. So a Christian attitude towards terrorism. Christian attitudes towards terrorism. Now, before we touch upon this, it needs to be realised that all faiths share the same or have similar views on this. So all Christians are against terrorism. All Muslims or the Islamic faith is against terrorism. There are extremist groups, okay? Over the years, Christians have committed terrorist acts. Over the years, Muslims have committed terrorist acts, and many other people of different faiths. So Christians are taught that Jesus taught us to love our enemies, not make them scared of us, not bring fear. Blessed are the peacemakers. God is a just God. He'll the one that bring out justice. You've not got to try and do that through an extreme act. Golden rule is this idea of treating others how we want to be treated. And why would we commit a terrorist act if we're all made in the image of God? We're all equal, according to Christians. Islam teaches people to be peaceful. After all, Islam means peace, the actual words, the definition of the word. Muslims can fight in self-defense, but only when it is necessary. Terrorism is not an act of self-defense. Okay, the significant majority of Muslims are against using lesser jihad to justify terrorism. There are extremist groups that may use it, but the general doctrine, the general teaching is that no. So some causes of terrorism. There might be many different reasons, but religion, you interpret a holy text in a certain way or a period of history and you think, yep, let's do that in our time. Politics, you want to make a change. You've had enough of the way the government are doing things and you want to bring about a change. And you might think, let's bring about that change through a terrorist act. Social injustices, we've had enough of the way we're being treated. The government aren't looking after us. So politics and social injustice is quite linked in terms of causes for terrorism. Human rights are being denied, and then nationalist reasons. It's perceived that you care about your country so much that you don't want to have immigrants in your country, or you want to gain some kind of independence from the rest of the country. Moving on. What are WMDs? Well, very simply put, WMDs are weapons of mass destruction. They are weapons of mass destruction, and they cause destruction on a great scale. Power to kill and harm large numbers of people. Okay. So, moving on, I'm aware we're getting closer and closer to 10 minutes here. So, some advantages of nuclear weapons. Some advantages of nuclear weapons. Now, they do have their place, some people may argue, because they can make a country very powerful, even if they are never used. They can prevent major war occurring, because if you're going to use a nuclear weapon on me, I'm just going to use one on you. It cancels itself out. They're going to cause similar levels of destruction, and it can put negotiation first, as the threat of using a nuclear weapon is a risk that always should be avoided. Okay. Some disadvantages is when they are used. Think about World War II in Japan and other times. They can destroy large areas of land and large numbers of people awfully. They can cause lasting effects, which can continue for years, particularly with children being born with deformities if they've been in the womb because of the chemicals that are released and so on and so forth. They're very expensive. Much or a lot of a country's budget can be spent on weapons that are never used. They can harm the environment. They kill many people. They don't allow people. It goes against just war theory because you can't defend yourself. And they're not proportional. So it goes against just war theory. Okay. And we're nearly there, folks. Nearly there. So Christian attitudes towards nuclear weapons. All Christians are against nuclear weapons. Jesus taught us to bring about peace. Okay. Bring about peace. Blessed are the peacemakers again. Our life is sanctity of life states that our life belongs to God and only God can give and take away life. Well, if you're using a nuclear weapon, it's indiscriminate. You're just taking anyone's life away because of how powerful they are. We're also called to be God's stewards, and as a result of that, if we're using nuclear weapons, we're destroying our planet. An Islamic view is they don't follow the conditions of lesser jihad. An interesting religious teaching: whoever kills a soul, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. Okay, this idea of even a soul being killed, it has such a devastating effect. And many Muslim countries over the years have protested against the use of nuclear weapons. And we are there. Once again, we are there. Keep going. Bye now.